Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are going to discuss the concept of Saum, fasting and Ramadan as per Quran by worldwide Quran thinkers. Agenda for our today's discussion, concept of rituals as per DEEN, meanings and usages of the word Saum in Quran. Then we are going to discuss Surah Baqarah, ayat number 183 to 187, phrase by phrase, word by word, in order to understand the concept of Sayyam and the concept behind these ayahs. We're also going to discuss what is the concept of dua and why is it sandwiched between these ayahs. In the end, we are going to summarize whatever we have discussed in terms of how we should take this month and what should be our approach. Before we discuss the concept of Sayyam as per Quran, we would like to highlight and discuss the concept that there are no rituals as per Deen. Let's first define what is a ritual. A ritual by definition is any series of specific acts or actions or type of behavior done by someone which has been prescribed in the name of that person's religion or divinely ordained and divinely prescribed order of performing certain series of actions or behaviors. Now, there's a huge difference between a routine and a ritual. So routine on one act is so the basic reason is in terms of the attitude and the reason behind the actions, whether it's done in the name of a routine or whether it's done as a ritual. So routines are basically done as per the person's own personal preference, the person's own lifestyle, the person's own choices. Whereas if you look at rituals, rituals are practices that have been prescribed by somebody else, and they are done in the name of religion or in the name of the divine. So I'll give you an example of, for instance, if you go for a daily walk, and if I go for, let's suppose, the daily walk in the morning, that is because it suits my lifestyle. It is a choice that I have done as per my own personal preferences, as per the requirement of, let's suppose, my health. Whereas if I go for, let's suppose, a prayer, let's suppose if I'm praying 5 times a day, this is the timings of it and the way it's being done is prescribed by somebody else in the name of religion, as if it's divinely prescribed for me. So daily walk is a routine. The daily prayers is a ritual. Similarly, if you go for intermittent fasting, for instance, I can go for intermittent fasting based on my own lifestyle, based on what suits me, based on what is healthy for me, as compared to, let's suppose, a ritual fasting like Muslims do in the month of Ramadan. That is prescribed in the name of religion. That is taken up as if it's divinely prescribed. So intermittent fasting is a routine, whereas the religious fasting is a ritual. In order to give you an idea as to what is and why the rituals are not prescribed by the divine, or as per our understanding, there are no rituals as per Quran, we're going to give you one logical reasoning and another from the Quran itself. So in terms of the logical reasoning, I'll give you 2 options. The first option is that the Quran ordains ritual. So as soon as you approach Quran with this mindset, somehow the Quran seems incomplete, because Quran does not tell you what specific timings you need to go for, let's suppose, the ritual prayers, and how to perform the ritual prayers, how much zakat to give, how to do the manasik of Hajj or Umrah. All these rituals make Quran incomplete, insufficient, and we have to go out of the Quran in order to follow the rituals. We have to find a scholar who is going to teach us how to perform all these rituals. And then once you find a scholar, in fact, before you find a scholar, you have to identify what specific sect you belong to. So first you need to identify the sect, then you identify the scholar, and then the scholar is going to teach you how to perform these rituals, because you're not able to get all these details from the Quran itself. Even if you look at the image of Allah in this particular option, Allah in this option is a supreme being who is somehow angry with us. And we have to spend all this time to seek forgiveness from the divine, to keep on trying our best to connect with the divine and to seek forgiveness and mercy from the divine, because the divine is angry and upset with us. In addition to that, the divine in this particular option is somebody who does not want us to do anything for anybody, but spend all this money and all our time and effort and resources in order to connect and do these divinely rites and rituals. So Allah here is someone who somehow wants us to spend so much money to please Allah instead of benefiting the needy, or spending the same amount of money and time and resources to be of benefit to other human beings. In terms of option number 2, let's suppose we approach Quran with the mindset that there are no rituals ordained by Allah. As soon as we approach the Quran with this mindset, everything becomes crystal clear and practical. Quran is complete. Quran tells you each and everything. Allah asks us to spend for the benefit of others whatever we have been given fazl of. That is the basic guidance that we receive times and times again. We don't need anything or anyone outside of the Quran. The only thing that we need in order to implement these divine laws is the Quran itself and our own akal, our own brain, our own intellect and thinking and reasoning and pondering. This is all we need in order to implement these laws. And even if you look at the image of Allah in this option, Allah here is a supreme being who does not need anything for himself, who is ghani, who does not need anything at all. The only thing that Allah wants us to do is to benefit others. If you're grateful to the divine for all the blessings, spend your efforts and resources and all these blessings to be of benefit to others, so that you make others grateful to you just like you are grateful to the divine. Allah wants us to act as Khalifa, the caretaker, the trustee on the planet Earth, who is there just to take care of the planet and all its habitat. So now I will ask you point blank, which one do you think is more plausible as an image of Allah? And which option would you go for? Is it option number 1, where Quran ordains ritual and the image of Allah in this option is somebody who needs everything for himself, so that you keep on asking forgiveness and pleasing Allah by spending all your time and money and resources to establish this connection? Or option number 2, where there are no rituals as per Quran, and the image of Allah in this option is for you to spend all this time and money and resources to be of benefit to others. The image of Allah in this option is somebody who does not need anything for himself, because Allah is ghani. Which option is more plausible as an image of Allah? Now, I would also like to give you an ayah from Quran, which basically gives us this specific uh, divine guidance that there are no rituals as per Quran. This ayah is ayah 2177. It describes birra. Birra is basically the process of becoming muttaqi, the highest level of being a Muslim. So if you look at the concept of birra as per this ayah, it identifies the complete Quranic guidance and it summarizes it in concise terms within this ayah. And this ayah is basically asking us to start with the 5 fundamentals of Iman. And then it goes for the spending of your wealth, your time, your resources for the benefit of others. So these are the 2 important segments. Now, if you look at this particular ayah, it starts with birra is not that you turn your wajh towards Mashriq or Maghrib. And if you look at the concept of wajh basically means focus. It's your attention, it's your desired destination, it's your focus, your purpose, your direction. And Allah is saying right at the onset that birra is not that you turn your wajh towards the Mashriq or the Maghrib. It is not about body movements. It's not about direction. Allah is not confined to a physical space as in house of Allah somewhere in Saudi Arabia. This is not what birra is. Birra is not rituals. It's not body movements. It's not directions. It's not moving your face here or there. It's not that. What it is based on the 5 fundamentals of Iman, and then spending your wealth for the benefit of others. And then there are the doing of salat and zakat and doing of sabr. So all of these are basic foundations of deen, nothing to do with rituals. Now let's discuss the concept of Saum as per Quran. In order to define the concept of Saum as per Quran, we would discuss ayat number 1926. And this is a normal mistranslation. This is a translation which is normally done of this ayah. So eat and drink and be content. And if you see from anyone, from any human, then say, indeed, I have vowed to the most merciful a fast, so not I will speak today to any human being. Now, keeping in mind that this is a wrong translation, even then, if you look at the first phrase, so eat and drink. Sayyam or Saum is nothing to do with fasting from hunger or thirst or fasting from food and drink at all. It's nothing to do with that, because at the very onset, the ayah itself says that eating and drinking is part of being in the Saum. So if you look at the correct translation of this ayah, I would like to define few words before. So kulu basically means to utilize, consume, take benefit from, make use of. It does not mean eat, because in one of the ayahs, for instance, in ayah number 4:2, Allah says, do not kulu the amwal of the yatim. Allah is not asking you not to eat the amwal of the yatim. Allah is asking you not to take benefit from, not to utilize, not to make use of, not to consume the amwal of the yatim, the wealth of the yatim. Ashrabu basically means to get overwhelmed, to get engulfed, to act upon. And I'll explain these two concepts through an example. For instance, you are watching news or you're listening to the news. What you're doing is you're taking benefit from the news. You're consuming it. You're using it, right? Then when you act upon that news and make specific changes in your behavior and in your day-to-day life, you get overwhelmed, you get engulfed, and that's called ashrabu. Ara basically means observe, come face to face, or perceive. Ahadan is normally translated as one, whereas it basically means same. It's used as opposite of farak. So for instance, when one of the ayahs says that your deity and my deity is ahadan, it does not mean that your deity and my deity is one. It basically means that your deity and my deity is the same. There's no farak, there's no distinction, there's no difference. So ahad means same. Bashar is used in this particular ayat along with the word insan. So both of these words, Bashar and insan, is used in order to define and translate it as human being, whereas there's a specific and basic difference between the two words. So insan is used in Quran in the name and the meanings of human being, whereas Bashar is used in Quran in the meaning of with shar, which means that to err is human. We are with shar, which shar basically means anything that is done to destroy human capability or to waste human efforts, the purpose of which is to cause death, destruction, and fasad on earth. We as humans are with shar. We make mistakes all the time. Saum basic meaning is in the meaning of to restrain, to abstain, to control, to stop, to halt, to discontinue, to prevent, to break, to adjourn, to interrupt, to pause, or to put an end to something. So the basic idea is to restrain something, to control something, to put an end or to halt something. Aklamu means consume, interact, engage, or benefit from. Yom does not mean day. Yom basically means well-known aspects, well-known things, well-known something that's confirmed. There's no changing to that. Insan, as I said, it basically means human being. Let's define this, the concept of Saum from this ayah 1926 by going word by word. So the first phrase is Fakuli wa ashrabi. Now, one thing that is done mostly by normal and traditional scholars, translators, is that they completely ignore the alphabet ye at the end. So whenever the ye is there at the end, it does not mean that kulu and ashrabu. It means kulu, me, ashrabu, me. So this particular ayat is basically in discussion to Maryam. And Allah is basically asking Maryam to kulu me, to ashrabu me. And the basic idea is to consume, take benefit from, to utilize, and use Allah's hidayah, Allah's system, Allah's laws of deen, and Allah's laws of nature, as well as the fitrat of Allah as embedded in each one of us. So kulu me means take benefit from Allah's whole system. Ashrabu means get engulfed, get immersed. Act upon all these laws, act upon the system, act upon everything that you have taken benefit from. Use, get engulfed, get immersed in Allah's system. And karar anan. Karar basically means satisfaction. Anan means your vision, enlightenment. And up and satisfy your enlightenment, your vision. Then if you come face to face from anything which is with shar, ahadan, the same type. So we as human beings are with shar, and this is the same type. This is the same type. There's no difference. We are all with shar. If you come face to face from any of the bashar, which is any of with shar, ahadan, then kali, then interact with that or reflect from your conducts and behavior with that I indeed nazarat to the Rahman Sauman. I indeed nazarat to the Rahman Sauman. Restrain, control. Then not aklamu, not interact. The yaman insan. The well-known aspects of human being. What are the well-known aspects of human being? What are the confirmed aspects of human being in which there is no change? Which is with shar. To err is human. We are with shar. So here, Allah is defining the concept of Saum beautifully as a regime of self-control, self-restraint, discipline to stay away from, not engage, benefit from, consume, interact with in any shape or form the same type and aspects of shar that are well known of us as human beings. We're supposed to constrain these aspects of shar. We're supposed to put an halt, to control, to restrain these aspects of shar. So it calls for the regime of both self-control and self-discipline, as well as our endeavors to restrain and put an halt, put an end, stop, curtail these aspects of shar, which are well-known and confirmed aspects of human beings. And we can only do that if we kulu and ashrabu the ayat of Allah, the system of Allah, the deen of Allah. Another ayat that I would like to define is ayat 33-35. Now, this ayat lists all of such attributes of people from whom Allah has given maghfirat and great ajr. So one of the attributes and of the people is was-saimin was-saimat. Now, if you look at the normal translation of this particular ayat, it says the fasting man and the fasting woman. Was-saimin and was-saimat does not mean fasting men and fasting women. So for instance, Salihin was Salihat. So Salihin are those people who do acts of Islam, and Salihat are those Amle Salihat, the acts of Salihat itself. So Salihin was Salihat basically means those who do acts of Islam and the acts of Islam itself. Similarly here, Saimin are those who do Saum, who self-restrain, self-control, as well as endeavor to put an end to the aspects of shirk, as well as Saimat basically refers to the acts of Saum itself. So if you look at this phrase, was-saimin, was-saimat, these are attributes, acts, as well as the people who perform these acts, who exercise self-control, self-restraint, and self-discipline to remain within the boundaries of the deen. And Allah is not talking about during any specific month of the year. Allah is not talking about that. It's all through our daily lives. It's moment to moment. It's day by day. Every breath we take, we have to do Saum. And we have to do Saum from all aspects of shirk. Anything that's done to destroy human capability or to waste human efforts, the purpose of which is to cause death, destruction, and fasad on earth. That's what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to endeavor to control it, to put a halt to it, to restrain it through self-control and self-discipline, and by doing kulu and ashrabu of Allah's system. Now let's discuss the concept of Sayyam as discussed in ayahs 183 to 187. So the first ayah, this translation is a wrong translation. It says, O you believers, decreed upon you is fasting, as it was decreed upon those before you, that you may become righteous, a limited number of days. So if you look at this particular ayat, and if you question yourself, how is fasting making Muslims righteous? We have been doing fasting for the last 1400 years. Is it leading us towards righteous? No, it's leading us towards becoming self-righteous and arrogant and proud. If you look at the very first phrase, Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu, it's not talking about believers. It's nothing to do with belief. It's specifically addressing those who amanu. And who amanu are those who use their faculties, especially their faculty of intellect, thinking, and reasoning in order to seek knowledge, to be at aman with Allah, to be in a state of utter and deep conviction with Allah. That's the first definition of those who amanu. The second definition of those who amanu are those who are at aman with respect to their surroundings, who are at feelings of peace and goodwill for those around them. And the third meaning is those who are upholders of their iman with Allah, of their covenant with Allah, as defined in the Quran. So keeping these definitions, this ayah from ayat 183 and onwards specifically addresses those who are amanu. Allah is not addressing anybody else. Allah is addressing only those who amanu. And then Allah is saying, Kutiba upon you the Sayyam, been made mandatory, written for you the Sayyam, the regime of self-control and self-discipline, the regime of endeavoring to control and put an end and halt to the aspects of, well-known aspects of shirk in the society all around you. like what was made mandatory and written upon those from before you. It's the same. It's the same regime. It's not what was kutiba upon us as Muslims was any different to what was kutiba from those before us. It is the same laws. The same laws was prescribed to everyone, to us as well as those before us, so that you observe taqwa. This is the reason, this is the end destination. If those of you who are amanu, if you want to be muttaqi, if you want to observe taqwa, and taqwa basically means be extra careful, be extra conscious in following the laws of Allah. Be extra conscious of these boundaries that Allah has defined in the Quran and follow these laws in letter and spirit. Be extra careful of these laws. So for instance, when you follow, for example, the traffic law, by being extra careful, what would you do? You would never go above the speed limit. You would stop at soon as you see the yellow light, and you would not move unless and until it's green light, and you would halt at stop. You would follow the traffic laws by being extra careful. And that's what the concept of taqwa is with respect to the laws of the deen as mentioned in the Quran. So you follow the laws of the Quran, laws of the deen, laws of Allah by being extra careful. So Allah is basically saying that if you who are amanu, who amanu, if you want to be muttaqi, if you want to observe taqwa, then doing Sayyam is mandatory. You cannot observe taqwa unless and until you do Sayyam, unless and until you self-restrain, self-discipline, self-control, unless and until you endeavor to control and put an halt to all aspects of shar around you. Unless and until you do this, you would not be able to reach the stage of taqwa, because this is kutiba, this is a mandatory step. Ayaman madudat is normally translated as limited number of days. This is not talking about limited number of days. Ayam basically means confirmed. There's no changing to it. Madudad basically means predetermined, fixed. It's a fixed step. It's a fixed element. If you want to become muttaqi, doing of Sayyam is Ayam and Madudad. It is predetermined. It's fixed. It's confirmed. There's no changing to it. For a certain number of days, but whoever among you is sick or on a journey, then he or she shall fast a number of other days. This is a mistranslation. Let's look at phrase by phrase. Then whoever among you mareezan or on suffering. Allah is not talking about physical mareez and physical suffer only. So mareez by definition means being sick physically as well as allegorically. So it is being in a condition that is not aligned with us as human beings. We as human beings are created by Allah as intellectual beings, as social beings, right? This is how we have been created. So if, for example, if we are in an extreme state of kufr, blindly following some scholar, we are not using our intellect. We are in a state of mareez. Similarly, the concept of safar includes physical and metaphorical traveling, both included. So it means all such conditions and phases and periods during which a person is not normal. A person is not able to focus mentally or physically because the person is in a state of suffer. It's not normal. So for instance, if you have faced a situation of joblessness, for instance, you're unemployed, then you need to spend all your resources in order to get a job, in order to be employed again, so that the things are back to normal, so that you're able to focus mentally and and physically to your normal day-to-day affairs, right? So if you look at this concept, the Allah is basically saying that Sayyam or to do Saum is ayam and madudat for you. It's fixed, it's determined for those who amanu. If you want to become muttaqi, this is ayam and madudat. However, the only exception is if you are a mariz or if you are in a safar. So for instance, for those who are a mariz in any way, in any possible shape or form. It could be in the form of a person being physically sick or spiritually sick or mentally sick, or it could be a person may not have a peace of mind because the person is going through a state of suffer, have lost the peace of mind, must be, could be any situation. So Allah is saying, put all your resources and efforts into getting out of these situations to come back to normal. And once you are normal, then and only then, this um, this aidatan, this ayam and madadat is then become fixed for you. So the word used here is akhir. And akhir is normally translated as last or the other, but I would like to define the word akhir. Akhir is basically the ending of the continuous series of events, things, people, aspects, generations, periods, after which there's nothing further from the same series, and the next one is going to be different. So for instance, if you were unemployed for, let's suppose, a period of 2 months, at the end of 2 months, when you are employed again, the next day is going to be different than the unemployed days. So this day, the next day, is basically your employed days, and it is akhir. So Allah is saying, once you are out of this situation of mariz and suffer, then and only then you are kutiba, it's been made mandatory upon you and obligated upon you to continue and resume to the acts of Sayyam. And for those who are able, a ransom as of feeding a poor person, and whoever volunteers excess, it's better for him, but to fast is best for you if you only knew. This is a wrong translation. This is not what Allah is saying. So if you look at this particular ayat, and for those who have the takat, so this word yatikuna basically means who have the ability, the strength, the resources, uh, 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 the courage, whoever have the wealth, the time, the resources, the abilities, whoever has that, then you should tam a miskin. And again, tama miskin is normally translated as feeding a hungry person or a poor person. This is not what this phrase is. Tam basically means benefiting somebody or providing benefit to somebody or indulging in experience or taking up someone or something as a responsibility. So if you look at miskin, the concept of miskin is someone who does not have askan, who does not have sakun, who does not have a home in both physical as well as allegorical sense. So we are not talking about just those people who are homeless. We're also talking about those people who might have home, physical home, but they might be abused in that home. They do not have that peace of mind, that askan, that sakun of being in their own home, being in their own space. So the basic idea of miskin is somebody who is not able to take care of their situation or their selves or the needs of themselves and those related to them. And when Allah is saying Tama miskin, Allah is basically asking us to take such people on as our responsibility, to benefit them, to establish them so that they are not miskin anymore. Then whoever tatawa khairan, then it is khair for them. So tatawa is basically opposite of the word karhan. Karhan basically means that when you're approaching something as a disgust, as unwilling or by force. So tatawa is basically means that when you are doing this out of your eagerness, out of your willingness after realizing the benefits of doing that. So once you realize the benefits of Tama Miskin, you would be eager. You would be willing to go for Ta'ama Miskin without any force, without any compulsion, without any dislike, because you have experienced the benefits of doing so. And Allah is saying that it is khair for you if it's best of the best for you. And indeed, to Saum is khairan for you. Because if you look at the concept of Saum is making you reach the stage of taqwa. And once you are in that stage of taqwa, Ta'ama Miskin is just a small subset of a muttaqi person. There's so many things that a muttaqi person will be doing. So when you're doing Saum, you're actually becoming a muttaqi person. Ta'ama Miskin is just one part of it. It's not the whole. So Allah is basically saying, but if you do Saum, it is much, much better. It is much, much khair. This is the most mistranslated of Ayah. So Ayah 2185, which is normally translated, the month of Ramadan is that in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for the people and clear proofs of guidance and criteria. This is a wrong translation. Here, Allah is not talking about the month of Ramadan. So the word here is used as Shahro Ramadan. And there's no al or ash in front of Shahar. It's not talking about the specific month of Ramadan. It's not talking about that. So Shahar means periods or era or duration. Ramadan basically means burning, high temperatures, intense heat. So Shahar Ramadan are basically periods of extreme difficulties, extreme burnings, difficulties or challenges. So if you look at the concept of Ramadan, a basic meaning of the word Ramadan is in the meaning of intense burning. So if you look at the Islamic calendar used to be based on solar months. So months like Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, Jamadul Awwal, Jamadul Thani, these are those months which are based on the vegetation, the cropping, the sowing of seed, which always come at the same time every year. So Islamic calendar was based on solar month. And the reason why Ramadan was called Ramadan in the Islamic month, as per the Islamic calendar, was because it used to come during the intense heated periods of the Arab region, which was extreme heat. So this ayah is not talking about the specific month of Ramadan as per the Islamic calendar, because the Islamic calendar was based on solar calendar earlier on. It is now on lunar calendar. Plus the word Ash is missing here. It's not talking about the specific month of Ramadan. It's talking about any period, any era, any duration, which is full of intense burning, hardship, difficulties, challenges, injustices, oppressions. That anzala in it the Quran, nazul in it the Quran. It is during these periods, these era, these duration that Quran should be anzalna. You as those who amanu, it's your responsibility to anzala the Quran. And what is the Quran that needs to be anzal? Quran basically means read, understand and implement the ayahs of the kitab. The second is to compile within yourself all the guidance, all the laws, all the commandments of Allah. The third is to proclaim to others, to uh, to to communicate to others through whatever ways and means, through verbally, through in writing, through your conducts and behaviors. Proclaim to other the kitab of Allah, the laws of the deen. It is during this period of intense hardship that you should anzala the Quran. As Hudan for humanity. Now, this particular ayat is basically describing the three characteristics that is going to help you take out this, put an end to this period of intense difficulties. And that is number one, hidayat for humanity. It is a guidance for humanity, for everyone. It is bayanat of the huda. So bayan basically means to distinctly make clear right from wrong, haq from batil, kufr from iman, etc. So bayan means make clear, distinctly separate, give as proof, give as evidence for the hidayah. And the Furqan, the criteria of right and wrong. It is the ultimate criteria of right and wrong. So Quran needs to be unzul in the period of hardship because this is a hidayat, a guidance for the humanity, a bayanat of the huda, of the hidayat, and the Furqan, the ultimate criteria. Then whoever of you is present in the month should fast therein. This is how this particular phrase is normally mistranslated. This is an extremely wrong translation. So let's see what the ayah is actually saying. So whoever shahida among you the shahr. Now here look at the word al. It is now with al. So al means the specific shahr. What is the specific shahr? The shahr of Ramadan. Whoever shahida among you the shahr, then they should saum it. If you look at the word shahida, it does not mean see or witness the moon. It's not talking about that. Shahida basically denotes each and every step, each and every role that is required in order to uphold the justice. So it includes each and every stage, from taking a stand against injustice to raising your voice to calling of witness to documentation to gathering or providing evidences to giving of witnesses to making decision to roles as judge, lawyers, or jury or witness. Whatever is required in order to uphold the justice is included in the word shahida. So Allah is basically saying here that whoever among you are the shahida, whoever among you are the upholders of justice of the shahr, of this shahr. What is this shahr? This shahr is the period of extreme difficulties. Whoever among you is the upholder of justice for this shahr, then they should saum it, curtail it, end it, restrain it. So if you look at the word here, fal yasamho does not mean that you saum in it. You saum there it. There is no word as in here. Allah is asking us to saum it, which means to curtail it, curtail the shahr, curtail the shahr, which is Shahr Ramadan. End it, put an end to it, control it, restrain it. And whoever among you marizan or on safaran, then it is fixed for them from ayam and akhirah, other than it. So again, the same concept. If you are in a state of mars or suffer, whether physically or metaphorically, then you should wait for the situation to come back to normal. And once it is back to normal for you, then and only then you should do what has been fixed for you, which is to saum the shahr, which is saum the shahr Ramadan. Allah yurido with you the yusra and not yurido with you the asr. Allah does not intend. So when Allah says Allah's yurido, it means the whole system of Allah, the whole focus, the whole desired destination of the system of Allah is ease for you. It's not difficulty. So that you kamilu the other, the either. Kamilu means complete in all aspects. And al that means the fixed and the determined one, which is to saum the Shahr Ramadan. so that you takbaro Allah Allah for what Allah hadakum you, so that you tashkaru, so that you magnify Allah. This is the system of Allah. This is the guidance of Allah. So that you are able to promote Allah's system, Allah's guidance. This is what Allah wants you to do. For what Allah has given you the guidance. So that you tashkarun. So tashkarun does not mean that you are grateful and uttering words of great gratitude from your heart or your words. Allah wants you to do specific actions. So if you're grateful to Allah for Allah's guidance, then you should Saum the Shahru Ramadan. This is how Allah wants you to be grateful to Allah, by doing specific actions in that utter gratitude. And when my ibadi ask you about me, then indeed I am Kareeb. Ibadi basically means somebody who does abd, who follows the laws of Allah. So when those of us who want to follow the laws of Allah in complete obedience by going out of our comfort zone, then tell them that indeed I am Kareeb. Kareeb means near in terms of significance, value, distance, and time. I'm near you. I consider you important. I consider you significant if you are my ibadi. That's what Allah is saying. If you follow my laws in utter and complete submission, then Allah is near you in significance. Allah's system treats you as important. Allah's system is near you in terms of its support and strength for you. I respond to the da'wat of the da when they dani. So when the person who calls out to Allah's system, when they call out to me, I respond. And Allah responds through all of Allah's system. Then let them, so this is the two criteria of how we can seek help from Allah's system, how Allah's system would be able to respond to us. And that is through two things. One is, then let them yastajibu, means respond to me, and let them yuminu with me. Yastajibu means responding with explicit actions, endeavors, and striving, means obey the laws of Allah in letter and spirit by being completely synchronized with these laws, with the fitrat of Allah embedded in you. Let them yastajibu me. It does not mean simply connect to me or respond to me. This is not what Allah is saying. Allah says respond with your whole being through explicit actions. Synchronize with the system of Allah. And let them yomino with me. Yomino means seek knowledge. Use your faculties, use your akal in order to seek knowledge so that you are at aman with Allah, in the state of utter and deep conviction with Allah. Be yomino with me, with Allah, so that they are yarshadun. So yarshadun means those who have sound judgment, who are sensible, who are mature. So if you are abadu, if you respond to Allah, if you aminu with Allah, yominu with Allah, then and only then you would have sound judgment. Then you would be sensible. You would be mature. And this particular ayat is right sandwiched between the ayahs which ask you to stand up for justice, to put an end to the Shahru Ramadan, to any period of oppression, any era, any aspects of oppression or injustice or extreme difficulties which are happening around you. And this is how you seek the help from Allah's system. Because if the whole system of Allah is going to help you, you will achieve your desired destination of putting an end, of halting this Shahru Ramadan. This is a normal mistranslation. It is made lawful to you to go into your wives on the night of the fast. They are an apparel for you, and you are for them. Allah knew that you acted unfaithfully to yourself, so He has turned to you mercifully and removed from you this burden. So this ayah makes it sound as if Allah is talking to the men and asking them to have this sexual relations with their wives, as if the divine is not talking to the female members of the humanity. Divine is only talking to the male members and asking them that now it's allowed to have sexual intercourse with your wives. This is a gross mistranslation. This is not how and what Allah is saying in this ayat. So the first phrase is Uhilla for you the Lail, the Sayyam. Lail, the night of the Sayyam. So night means the utter and complete darkness of the Sayyam. The Rafusa, so if you look at the Rafusa towards your Nisa'akum, so Rafusa is normally mistranslated as sexual intercourse or sexual relations with your wife. This is not what the word Rafusa is. So Rafasu basically means and refers to all such behaviors which are inappropriate, rude, offensive, impolite, or unsuitable in any manner, or goes against the basic right and justice of somebody. And Nisa is not your wife. Nisa basically are all those who are dependent on you, who lack resources in any manner. So this ayah is basically saying that it might have been permitted. So uhilla means it might have been permitted during the night, the utter darkness of the Sayyam, the thing that you're trying to Sayyam, which is the shadow Ramadan. So during the night of the Sayyam, so what you're trying to curtail, what you're trying to put an end to, during its utter and complete darkness, it might have been permitted for you to carry out these extreme acts of injustices and offensive behavior against those segments of the population which are dependent on you, who lack resources, and they are dependent on you for any manner. So it might have been permitted during those darkest periods to have that inappropriate behavior with them. However, Allah is saying that they are a libas for you, as you are a libas for them. They are as dependent on you as you are dependent on them. You are dependent on them. They are a libas for you as well. So if you are a Rajal, if you have resources of any resources and you have people who are dependent on you for these resources, then they are dependent on you as you are dependent on them. Allah knows that you tahtanuna your nafs, so taba Allah upon you and afa Allah upon you. Tahtanuna basically means deceive, contradict, go against your nafs. And Allah is talking about nafs mutmainna, that part of your nafs which asks you to do good things, that part of your nafs which is connected with fitrat of Allah. So Allah is saying that by engaging in that inappropriate, offensive and rude behavior with the dependent segment of your society, whether male or female, it is not, the word nisa is not dependent on gender. So Allah is saying that those that getting that involving in that inappropriate behavior and offensive behavior with the Nisa segment of the society might have been permitted to you during the darkest period of the Sayyam, of the thing of the Shahra Ramadan that you're trying to Sayyam. But by doing that, you were going against, you were contradicting, you were suppressing, you were weakening your nafs mutmainna that was connected with fitrat of Allah. But now You should taba Allah. You should turn Allah towards you. Make a U-turn. Turn Allah towards you so that Allah afa upon you, so that Allah gives you generously, bless you in abundance. So now be in contact with them and seek what Allah has ordained for you, and eat and drink until the whiteness of the day becomes distinct from the blackness of the night at dawn. What does it mean, blackness of the night at dawn? This is not what Allah is asking you to do. So if you look at the next phrase, then not indeed basharahunna. Not indeed basharahunna. And abtahu, what Allah has kutiba upon you. Not go near shar. So not with shar. Do not go near shar or conduct any deeds with aspects of shar. So the rafasu behavior with the nisa was basically acts of shar. So Allah is basically saying, do not go near shar. Now what I don't understand is that when Allah is saying, falan basharahunna, how is it translated is so now be in contact with them? When the word lan basically means not. Do not go near shar or conduct any deeds with aspects of shar. And abtahu means seek, aim for, be in quest of what Allah has made mandatory upon you. Do not go near shar. Seek what Allah has made mandatory upon you, because this is through this you would get afa of Allah. You would get Allah's generous blessings in abundance. And kalu and ashrabu. Kalu and ashrabu means get benefit from, consume, use Allah's system, Allah's blessings, the laws of Allah in the kitab, the laws of Allah in nature, the fitrat of Allah in yourself. Use, take benefit from the system of Allah. And ashrabu, get engulfed, get overwhelmed, act upon this guidance. Until yatabayyan means distinct for you. The khayt means treatment, fixing and healing. Khayt means treatment. Abiyaz is normally translated as the white, and the aswad is normally translated as the black. This is not the meaning. So abiyaz means distinct and obvious aspects of the fajr. So both of these are of the fajr. And fajr basically means enlightenment, divine enlightenment. So Allah is basically saying that when the distinct aspects of, clear aspects of Allah's divine enlightenment become distinct from the blurred aspects, and up until then, be on guard. Kulu and ashrabu. Then complete the fast till night and have not contact with them while you keep to the mosque. These are the limits of Allah. So do not go near them. As if Allah is asking you not to go near the nisa and not to be in contact with the nisa when you are in the masajid. Really? Do we really think that when Allah wants you to be obedient to Allah's laws, Allah wants you to go against your fitrat and nature? This is not what Allah is saying. Then complete the Saum until the Lail, and do not you with Bashar. It's the same concept. Complete the Saum until the Lail is completely gone. Complete in all its respect. Until the Lail is completely gone. And do not with Bashar. Do not go near the Bashar in any shape or form. And especially while you are akifuna in the masajid. So akifuna basically has the concept of uniting something by making it strong. So if you look at the concept of akifuna, it basically means strengthen and connect people and aspects together so that everyone can remain connected and strong in unity. So what Allah is saying, akifuna in the masajid. Akifuna means that you are supposed to get rid of all these things that hinder the unity. You're supposed to remove all the aspects because of which people cannot be united together. Akifuna means trying your best to unite people together in unity and strength. And masajid is a place where submission to the divine laws and to the laws of Allah is being done in complete submission and obedience. So Allah is basically saying that while you are trying to unite everyone by removing all these injustices, by halting the periods of suppression and injustices and extreme difficulties, by enlightening everyone through the divine laws, by making sure that the distinct aspects of Allah's divine guidance is completely obvious to everyone, by making sure that the complete and utter darkness of the Shahr of Ramadan, of the periods of extreme difficulties and injustices is completely got rid of. You are supposed to aim for uniting people together in unity and strength as submission to Allah's laws while you're trying to do that in the masajid, a place where submission to Allah's laws are being adhered. This is the boundary of Allah, so do not go near it. And thus Allah make bayan to you, make distinct to you Allah's ayat so that they observe taqwa. Again, remember the basic objective of Saum is to be able to observe taqwa. This is all the ayahs that are talking about that. So 2183 to 2187 are all talking about how to observe taqwa. And that's what Allah is concluding in this ayah. If you look at the conclusion, Sayyam has been made mandatory upon us as upon those from before in order for us to observe taqwa. Ayamun Madudat means those aspects and events that are well known, determined, and fixed. The concept of Saum is applicable for our day-to-day lives, during which we need to exercise self-control, self-restraint, and as well as trying to restrain, put an end to, control, or halt shar in all its forms, by consuming or engaging in all experience in terms of staying away from restraining shar in every manner. Those who are shahada, upholders of justice, are obligated to control, halt, restrain, and put an end to periods of extreme injustices. Our treatment with those who are nisa should remain exemplary and never inappropriate, rude, indecent, or immoral in any way. If you look at the nutshell, Saum and Sayyam has nothing to do with fasting from food and drinks. Shahr Ramadan is not talking about the Islamic month of Ramadan. It refers to period of extreme hardship and injustices. The divine guidance is Sayyam it, meaning end, control, restrain it. The concept of dua is connected strongly to this divine order in order how to seek help from Allah when we are Sayyaming it. Quran is not talking about allowing intercourse with your wife. It's not talking only to men. Nisa could be any gender and nothing to do with gender, and talking about all who are dependent on Rijal. Even if it was permitted by the law of the land, it's never allowed to have improper, unjust, rude behavior, because that's how we go against our nafs. You are as dependent upon them as they are on you. The aim of sajda to divine laws is unity and strength of everyone. You can read the complete write-up on our website. For any question, please get in touch with us. You can email us or you can contact us through Contact Us form. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation.